Hi, for this video, I'm not sure how far I'm going to get, but what I'm going to start off with talking about is it's pretty clear. You get when you look at this and you look at this, just as far as the lines and the overall feeling. I'm doing some subtle changes of how lines will actually sort of appear, and I'm going to kind of try to explain that without getting too deep into it, because it can get a little scary. On this example right here. So we've been talking about this one-point perspective, and the thing about one-point perspective is that, yeah, it helps to try to break things down, but it as you've probably realized, it sort of squares everything off in an artificial way, because we're sort of pretending that everything up and down is going to stay exactly up and down, and that everything left to right or side to side is going to stay exactly horizontal, which is not how it really works. That is pretty true. The closer things are to either this vertical line of sight or this horizontal line of sight, but the further they start getting away from that, the more they'll start being subtly different. And just as we started off with these two, that's where I'm going to start off talking about it. And what happens is that lines will appear when they're going to the right, assuming they're still facing me. Edges that are going this way from me will eventually appear to be converging off this way. And to the left of me, lines will be very subtly converging off this way towards the horizon. Things always converge. Parallel lines converge towards the horizon. So that's the idea behind what those will do. And in a sort of rotated 45 degrees, 90 degrees sort of idea, a similar thing will happen with the up-down lines. The higher above the eye level they are, the more they will appear to start kind of angling in. It really is, it's a subtle, it's extremely subtle, and you don't notice it a lot until you're looking at something where it's not so subtle, but it really has to do with the curvature of our eyes, I'm pretty sure. I may get corrected on that. But there is a bit of a fisheye, because our eyes evolved from fish. That was a controversial statement, but I try to think of it, aside from the fisheye statement, I try to think of it as a bit of a tic-tac-toe with kind of bulging out, where this represents where my eye is looking. This is the vertical, this is the horizontal. Things that are getting further above the horizon, my eye level, will begin to angle in that way. Things down here will begin to angle in this way. So it's not, I try to talk about it's not critical that that is all exact, but what is really kind of important is to know that there will be sort of an imperceptible almost degree that this line will be angling this way and converging down towards a vanishing the horizon, that place. It is a vanishing point way out there, sort of in infinity, but never mind. And similar for this one. And the important thing about this idea is that a lot of times if you're drawing these and you think you sort of have it straight, and you might be sort of off. And if you're off in the wrong direction from what they are actually doing, that tends to make them look even more off. So I try to say, just get a basic idea of what's going on here with these, how things will be angling in this sort of curved fashion. But there's this is sort of an example of if this line was sort of aiming that way, even though it was very subtle aiming that way, it would really start becoming pronounced, because not only was it not accurately horizontal, as we're sort of saying one point perspective would be, but it's actually going in the wrong direction, angling in the wrong direction, because it's going left of my center of vertical vision. So I will, I'm going to sort of adjust all these things kind of in that fashion to follow that idea. And things will get interesting when we get to the corners. More interesting than they already are. But if you can see, there's sort of this bulging sensation. Once again, very, very subtle. If you want to exaggerate it, you certainly can. Below eye level, they'll converge down there. Above eye level, they'll converge up there. Left of eye vertical, they'll converge over there. Right of eye vertical, they'll converge over there. Ooh, you got stuck there for a second. Anyways, so that is these side ones. And the same rules will apply for the ones in the corner, but as we've been talking about, the further away something is, the more pronounced the perspective effect is. So this line will actually be sort of curving up that way. This one will sort of be curving up this way. When it's eye level, it's pretty much just straight up and down. And when it's below eye level, up and down will start curving in this way. This one this way. And when I said things get interesting, is because these other ones still need to follow that same idea, but they also need to make sense in that this will be, this furthest closest to the vertical will be the least curved and angled. This will be a little bit more, and this will be a little bit more. If this is freaking you out right now and you're going, oh my God, I have no idea what he's trying to say, I'm going to wait on that one. I'm going to try to finish that thought. Try to just make sure that the up-downs are indeed accurately vertical, straight up and down, and that the left to rights are indeed horizontal. And that's the best place to sort of start and not get too worried. I think I've been doing most of these up and downs for the corner ones, but then I'm also want to address the side to side aspect. The forward to backward ones, I know they. I see people say, books say that even when they're talking about this curvilinear perspective, I feel like I still see people saying they will appear straight, and I don't know that I believe that. I don't quite have it down sort of how they would be curving. So that's something I get to keep having fun learning. Because I feel like I have seen people who I believe say they sort of say straight, but as I'm looking at things more and more, the more you develop your eye, the more you sort of notice. I feel like more and more I'm starting to notice edges curving more, and maybe that's just my eyes getting old. So hopefully you can see, and I probably am exaggerating it a little bit to try to make it a little bit visually clear. And I'm probably sort of, if you're looking at this saying, hey, dude, you forgot the right edge of the lower left or something. I probably haven't gotten to everything so far, but I'm not too concerned just right now. But I am going to try to keep extending this actual video some more. And so that was the sort of trying to adjust the edges in a way to make sure they don't look really off. It's sort of a matter of if you're gonna make sure if they're not straight across, that they're not going they're not just off in sort of the wrong direction. That's going to add confusion. So speaking of adding confusion, I am just going to I'm going to start shading. And what I'm going to do first is just anywhere that I know is not in direct sun or light, I'm just going to begin shading in with the side of my pencil, and I'm assuming that light is coming someplace from sort of behind and up. So basically each square will be mostly in direct and direct light, so I'm going to kind of leave those, the front faces, I'm going to leave those alone. This one that I'm doing right now, you may argue, well, is that getting more light if it's coming from over here? And yes, it probably is. I'm just trying to create some overall differences in each side, face, plane. So all this shading, I'm definitely using the side of my pencil, which I probably already mentioned. Make sure it's sharpened pretty well so you can have a relatively long lead that you can use the side of. Here's a good example. See this line, if anything, it's wanting to imply that it's going this way, away from the horizon in this direction, which is exactly opposite of what it would be doing. It's a good example of one that I didn't really probably get to because I was blabbing about other things. This is the same kind of thing over here. This would be slightly angling towards. And like I said, it gets tricky because this one will sort of be following that. This one will be following that. This one will be following that. So they're still obeying the rules of perspective as well in this direction. Even though they're all sort of curving, they're curved different amounts. So that eventually they'll all end up, that a lot of that was off camera, sorry. Eventually they will all end up converging way down lower. But like I said, don't let that freak you out. I think I will do a little bit more shading and then hit pause, and I'm not sure how much more I'll do as far as another video, but I would just kind of keep going with this idea. Anything that is a lower plane, I'm going to give a second pass to try to make it even darker. The main thing when shading is to make sure that anytime that there's a change in the plane, that there's a change in the value. It helps to know how to keep that consistent, but I do try to make sure that if I'm seeing all three sides of something, I really want to make sure that I'm seeing clearly three different values, and they're not sort of kind of similar and confusing. So for this one, I'll make sure that this one is a little darker. It's not as dark as the bottom plane would be. But I definitely want to make sure that that's clearly one value, that's clearly a different one, and that's clearly a different one. So that is the main idea for this project, this study, and you may get out your more serious eraser when you're starting to clean things up. That's really kind of what I save my white plastic eraser for, is kind of towards the end, because it's abrasive. It's more abrasive than the kneaded eraser. But I would just keep doing that till it was a little bit more like this, and then I would enjoy it, and then I would do it again and again. So go do it again and again. Bye now.